major issues that the Jamaican people face?
The biggest issue I would have to say is poverty. In Jamaica, especially out of most countries, it has the largest distribution of wealth. So there's no really middle class, and so there's only a few people in the upper class, and then majority is in the lower class. So a lot of the time, like, people who are growing up in poverty have no way to climb the social ladder. It starts at a very low age where, sometimes they don't have resources to go to school or pay for like books, supplies, uniforms, and so just from an early age, a lot of the time they'll drop out of school, and so then they have to pick up random jobs such as like farming or selling fruit in the market, or just trying to find ways to get any income. And so there's not a lot of ways to get good jobs or to even get an education unless you have the resources, which most of the time they don't. Another major issue is there's a lot of corruption, especially in government, in police, in politics, and so, a lot of these people are like relying on the government to help them out, or to like at least solve some problems, put in institutions where things can be more affordable and more accessible to them. And a lot of the times these politicians are putting in laws and enacting laws that will only help like businesses, especially businesses that are across the seas coming in, or helping out their friends from people who own like the major corporations or the major businesses in Jamaica.
What was the most moving story you came across while you were in Jamaica?
So there was one Sunday that a bunch of us went to a church in Morgan's Forest, and it was a special Sunday for them because the bishop was there, and so the bishop, it was their first mass of 2018, and so the bishop did like a few like new like things and had everyone in the church come up to the front at like one point and say what their goal for 2018 was. So it was like very cool to like hear like the different like stories coming from all the different Jamaicans. And then at another point he had us hold hands with someone that we didn't know and take just like 2 minutes to pray for them and like pray for each other. And as soon as he said that, like a 13-year-old girl like grabbed my hand and like kind of like turned me around and like asked me to pray with her, which was really cool because we like didn't really like talk much or like have much of an interaction other than praying for each other, but we still like felt connected, and so that was definitely a meaningful experience for me.
What was the most moving story that you came across in Jamaica?
So there's this community called Miketown, and when I was there, we went to this woman's house. She didn't really have a whole lot, but she was working on actually developing like a home for like other people to live in who don't have much. And currently there was a person there. They called him Brother Will. He wasn't actually a brother, but they called him Brother Will, and he has been living with her for 5 years. So my first thought was, oh, they must be family. They must be friends. They must know somebody in common. But like truly, this woman just welcomed this man into her house, and they've been living together for the last 5 years, just providing for each other and everything like that. And to me, that's just like the way that Jamaica treats each other, and that was just something that was really moving to me.
What was a funny moment during the trip?
I think one of the funniest moments was when Addison, did he ask to go for a run? Maybe he didn't ask, but he went for a run at night in a foreign country, and he was gone for a really long time. We started to really worry, and Sister Mimi kind of freaked out, and he came back and acted like everything was fine.
What surprised you most during the trip?
Definitely like everyone's just availability at all times. People were willing to invite us into their houses, like even just meeting us for 2 seconds. They were like, oh, let me feed you. It was amazing. Like just everyone's selflessness and their sustainability, it definitely, like they use absolutely everything, and like anything that they see on the road like is a part of their house. It's just incredible and really inspiring.
Tell us about how the bond of the group was strengthened during the trip.
Well, every night we would go back after we all split up during the day, and we would talk about what we did that day. But my favorite part was after our really like structured reflection, we would just all go outside and lay blankets down and just stare up at the stars and get even more in depth, talk about our days, talk about what we liked, what we disliked, our fears, how this trip has surprised us, and how amazing it was going.
What was the most moving story that you came across in Jamaica?
So the most moving story that I came across while I was in Jamaica was the story of Miss Ivy, who was a blind woman that ended up in the Manchester Infirmary and really just kind of struggled with life, but really found God through that place.
Tell us about how the bond of the group was strengthened during the trip.
One of the great things about the Jamaica immersion was that all the participants went to different locations throughout the day, but we would come back after our days and have a communal meal together. So while we ate our dinner, we would talk about our day and share our experiences, and that was one way that we were really able to bond closer with one another.
Another thing that we would do after communal dinners is we kind of had our alone time where after we talked about it, we kind of like decompressed for the day. People were writing their journals, things along those lines. And one thing that our group did on top of that was we had prayer buddies. And so what prayer buddies were is before the trip, we would all have this prayer buddy, which we knew who we had, but the person who we had didn't know. And so you'd pray for them, do nice gestures for them, which maybe they would kind of pick up on it, but they had no clue who you were. And so when we got to the trip, we kept up with these prayer buddies and we write affirmations to them, things like that. And then on the last night of the trip, you've kind of been watching them grow throughout the trip as well and through the process. So that was something really cool because you were able to focus on one person. So that grew us as a group, and we also wrote letters to them. And so once we wrote the letters, we had the opportunity to actually read those letters out loud to them in front of the whole group. And that was a really powerful bonding experience for us. And at the end, it was just a nice little great strengthening thing. So that's how we strengthened the group.
What was the most moving story that you came across in Jamaica?
When we visited the elderly home that was run by Mother Teresa's sisters, I met Miss Verona, who was a former high school teacher in Mandeville who suffered from bipolar disorder. And we had the most amazing conversations. And I learned so much about Jamaican education, and I learned about her life as a teacher and how she took care of her parents and how much she loved her students, and how she wished she still could do that. And I remember when we left each other, she says, "I hope we see each other again." And I said, "Well, I don't know if that's going to happen or not." She says, "Well, if we don't meet each other here, we'll meet each other at the banquet table in heaven." And that was the most moving moment of my trip.